This is the time to start thinking about it, as the roller coaster Calgary winter can put your yard through some tough times, and one of the hardest hit could be your deck. Well, the snow isn't here yet, thankfully, but it is coming, and there are some ways to preserve your finish without costing you a lot of money. Ralph Swan is here. He's a wood care expert, and how to show us to properly prepare your deck for the oncoming cold. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, I know you're traveling from Ontario, so you weren't even thinking about cold temperatures
I always
just yet.
think about cold temperatures, yes. It's one of those things that you know it's inevitable, it's going to come. But one of the things, not only protect against the cold, but protect your investment. You know, you put a lot of money into building a deck and having a place to entertain it outside. Good time to protect it as well.
Okay, so time and money goes into this, and this is an easy test that can tell you what stage you're at.
Absolutely. If you've protected your deck in the past, or you've put on a new deck just recently, an easy way to tell whether you need to protect your deck or not is to pour a little bit of water on the surface. Just pouring a little bit of water on the deck surface itself, or go out after a rain and see what's happened on it.
Okay.
If you see the water just laying on there like that, you know it's protected. If it hits this area where there's no protection, you can see it's penetrating right into the wood. And what you really want to do is protect against the water penetrating into the wood, because when the water penetrates into the wood, it swells the fibers and shrinks them, swells and shrinks them. Eventually you see those dry cracks happening, and also it shrinks the board. So then you have those gaps between your boards, what can be a little bit hazardous sometimes depending on the shoe wear you have.
I totally understand. I've gotten my heel stuck in a crack or two.
Oh, really?
Okay,
yes.
So now this isn't something that you necessarily have to do every year, but you do this test and then you decide your next step.
Absolutely. Usually I suggest doing it in the spring and fall just to make sure that your protection level is maintained. You don't want to let your lumber get to the point where it's saturated with water a lot.
Okay, and then it's sort of the damage is...
Well, when water gets into the wood, then it freezes, then it pushes the fibers of the wood even further apart.
Then
so
you're in
that causes trouble too as well. So.
Okay, so now first things first, you need to clean the deck before you protect it.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people would go for the water pressure, but that's not the case.
Well, pressure washers are a great tool, but you have to be really careful because a pressure washer can force water into the wood too as well. So usually what I suggest to everybody to do is take a few precautions when you're working with any cleaners. Always put some safety glasses on and some wearable clothes, rubber gloves, or any kind of latex gloves or anything to protect your hand. Cleaners are easy to put on. You can put them on with a brush, just brush it on, leave them on for a few minutes. You can then, after that point, take a deck brush like this, put it on a pole handle, and just give it a light agitation, like so.
Okay.
And what this does is loosens up the dead wood cells on the surface, brings them off, and you can just rinse this off using a garden hose and a spray nozzle. You don't need to use a pressure washer. If you do use a pressure washer, keep your fan spray the head of your unit far back from the surface so you're not pushing the water in. Use it more as a rinsing tool that way. And the cleaners really do the work for you. That's the job that's going to really help make it. The thing about the cleaners, it opens up the pores to allow stains to penetrate in, so you get good bond, so you don't have it peeling or flaking off later on.
Got it. Now, is this something you want to do back to back with the cleaner and into the protection, or can you
Absolutely.
wait in between?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually with the cleaner, put on a cleaner. You can go a couple days afterwards before you protect, or a week, or it doesn't matter. But you need to give it a little bit of time just to allow it to dry off. And depending on the film you're putting on top of it, sometimes you need a little bit more time than others.
Okay, and we're running out of time in our segment, so we want to get to the star of the show, which is the protection.
The protection is always important. You can put on a semi-transparent, a solid, a sheer, or you can even still get oil-based formulas as well. And when you're putting on stain onto the surface, you can use in close to the house in the tight areas, use a brush to apply it.
Right.
When you get into larger areas, when you get out into the full deck surface, then use a pad type applicator like this. I find these are really good because they actually push the product into the pores of the wood and help you give you a nice uniform coating on there. And go from one end of the board all the way to the other end. Don't do a hat banding around the outside and then work your way into the middle, because you'll get stuck in the middle as well.
Okay, yeah, good tips to know. And now, is all protection created equally, or are you looking for something that matches the wood that you have?
Well, depending on what the wood is you have and what color you're looking for. Sometimes you're looking for something that has a particular color in mind, you're matching the house or that, and you want to go into a tinted stain. You can go to an all-in-one, which is water protection and color in one as well, or a low penetrating or low VOC oil formula, depending on what you want. The low VOC oils are great for woods that are older, and have dried out a little bit, and you want to put some nourishment back into them.
Right, and then you're saving yourself pennies down the road to repair those damages from the harsh winter. Thank you very much, Ralph. These are great tips, of course, and time to think about it. We don't want to think about the snow flying, especially not when it comes to the morning drives. Dave?